My child, you have lived so much life. You have worn so many faces for others, carried so many burdens in silence, and walked roads I never called you to walk, simply because you thought it was expected of you. I see the quiet strength you've used to survive, to hold families together, to keep the peace, to push through when no one else seemed to notice. But I must tell you something now, and I need you to hear me, not just with your ears, but with your heart. You took on what I never asked you to carry. You bore weights that were not meant for you. You stepped into roles you thought you had to play, not because I commanded it, but because fear, guilt, or obligation whispered that you must. You sacrificed joy, peace, and even truth to meet expectations I never set for you. You tried to be the glue, the protector, the fixer, the strong one. But in doing so, you placed chains on your own soul. Chains I never forged. There were moments when you believed that love meant saying yes to everything, enduring silently, keeping your mouth closed, even when your spirit cried out. There were times when you confused duty with devotion and pressure with purpose. And you did all of this thinking it was righteous, thinking it pleased me. But I need you to understand. Obedience to me is not about losing yourself in the opinions of others. It is not about crushing your soul for the sake of appearing strong. I never asked for your silent suffering. I asked for your heart. You've worked hard. I know that. You did what you thought was right. I see the years behind your eyes. I know every tear you never let fall. Every heavy breath you took in solitude, every time you smiled outwardly while breaking inwardly. I saw the way you adjusted your dreams to fit the needs of others. I saw how you gave up parts of yourself, believing it was holy, believing it was necessary. But hear me now. I am not asking you to carry any longer what was never yours to carry in the first place. Do you know the weight of shame you've allowed to rest on your shoulders? Do you know how often you've blamed yourself for things that were never yours to fix? That child you couldn't save? That relationship you couldn't mend? That dream you let go of because everyone else came first? You've mourned in secret, pretending to be okay. But I was there in every hidden sorrow, and I've been waiting for this moment, this day, when you would let me lift it all from you. You see, you have been taught to be strong, but my strength isn't found in burying your pain. My strength is found in surrender. And surrender isn't weakness. It is trust. It is letting go of what was never yours to hold, and trusting me to carry what only I can bear. When you were a child, you may have learned to keep your feelings inside. When you became an adult, you learned that your value seemed to be tied to what you could do for others. And now, in these later years, it feels like your worth has been used up. But none of that is truth. That is the noise of the world. My truth is eternal, and the truth is this. I still see you. I still call you, and I still want to free you. I want to lift the burden of past decisions, the ones you regret, the ones you question, the ones you replay over and over at night. I want to remove the weight of other people's opinions that have shaped your choices more than my voice ever did. I want to take off the pressure of being the strong one, the one who never breaks, the one who always holds it together. You were never meant to be everyone's savior. That's my job. Yes, I gave you compassion, but I never asked you to carry the pain of the world. Yes, I gave you wisdom, but I never demanded you sacrifice your truth to avoid conflict. Yes, I gave you strength, but I never told you to use it to hold up lives that refuse to trust me themselves. There's a difference between serving in love and living under bondage, and I am here to break that bondage now. Look at your life. How many times did you say yes when your spirit said no? How many times did you silence yourself for peace that never came? How many times did you walk away from the path I lit for you because someone else's approval seemed more urgent? My child, I am not angry. I am not here to punish you. I am here to free you. You don't need to earn my love. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to hold it all together anymore. You never did. I was always the one holding you, even when you didn't know it. So now, I ask you to do something you haven't done in a long time. Maybe not in decades. Rest. Lay down your burdens. Not just the physical ones, but the emotional ones, the spiritual ones, the shame, the fear, the guilt, the pressure. Bring them to me. I am not afraid of them. I can handle them. I always could. And when you do, when you truly give them to me, you will feel something you may have forgotten even existed. Peace. Not the peace that comes from being liked. Not the peace that comes from doing everything right. Not the peace that comes from everything going well. No, my peace transcends all that. It's the peace of being known and loved completely, even in your weakness. You've lived long enough under the weight of things I never placed on you. But I'm not finished with you yet. In fact, your freedom, your real freedom, might just be beginning now. Come to me, child. Let me lift it all. You were never meant to carry it. I want you to pause and look back, not with shame, but with understanding. How many times in your life did you make a decision not because it was right, not because it was holy, but because you were afraid? Afraid of failure, afraid of being judged, afraid of letting someone down, afraid of losing what little peace you had. You covered those choices in words like wisdom and prudence, but deep down, you knew it wasn't peace that led you. It was fear. And child, fear is not the path I made for you. Fear was never your inheritance. I never wrote fear into your story. I never whispered it into your heart. I never designed your steps to be dictated by what might go wrong. That voice, the one that told you to stay small, to be quiet, to play it safe, that was never me. I did not place my spirit within you so you would shrink away from life. I did not give you breath only for you to live half alive. You made decisions based on what people might say. You took jobs, left dreams, stayed in silence, adjusted your convictions. Not because my spirit told you to, but because fear had crept into your bones. It whispered that the cost of obedience was too high, that faith was risky, that trusting me might hurt. But I never promised you comfort. I promised you presence, and I have never left your side, not for one moment. Even now, in these later years, fear tries to speak louder. It tells you you're too old, that your time is over, that your best days are gone, that you're too tired to change, too broken to try again, too stuck to be set free. But hear me, I am not finished with you. I do not measure by years. I do not count usefulness by energy or strength. I use faith, not age. I bless obedience, not perfection. You have lived many years and I honor your journey, but now I am calling you to finish your race in faith, not fear. I am calling you to walk boldly, even now, to say what I tell you to say, to do what I lead you to do, to stop letting the voices of fear determine your steps. You may look back and see all the moments when fear stole your voice. You may see the dreams you let slip away, the people you didn't speak truth to, the love you didn't pursue, the peace you never reached for, because fear convinced you that obedience was too costly. But I'm telling you now, it's not too late. It never is with me. Do you know how powerful it is when someone your age steps out in faith? When a soul that has walked through decades finally says, "No more fear, I will live only by God's voice." Do you know what that unleashes in the spiritual realm? Do you know the strength that flows from that kind of courage? The enemy trembles when my children walk by faith, especially when they've spent a lifetime walking in fear. I know why you were afraid. The world taught you to be. You saw what happened when others spoke up. You saw rejection, betrayal, loss. You lived through decades of pressure to conform, to submit to the ways of culture, to fit in. You were told not to rock the boat. You were warned to keep your head down, to keep peace at all costs. But I am not the God of comfort. I am the God of truth, and truth demands courage. I did not call you to live a life of regret. I did not call you to end your days wondering what could have been if only you had trusted me more. I called you to walk in the authority I placed in you the day you first said yes to me. I called you to finish strong, not in fear, but in fire. There is still time. There is still a path. But it cannot be walked with trembling hands and hesitant steps. It must be walked in faith. You may think faith is for the young, for those still full of ambition and drive. But I tell you now, faith is for the seasoned, for the weary, for the ones who have known the weight of life and still choose to believe. Faith is for you, right now, right here. Remember when I told my servant Joshua to be strong and courageous? That wasn't just for warriors. That was for every one of my children who would one day be tempted to listen to fear instead of my promise. And I say the same to you now. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For I, your God, will be with you wherever you go. I am not asking you to be fearless. I am asking you to trust me in spite of your fear. I am asking you to step anyway, speak anyway, obey anyway. Every time you do, fear loses its grip on you. Every time you trust me, the chains of the past break a little more. You were not created for safety. You were created for purpose. I didn't knit you together in your mother's womb so you could tiptoe through life and die with nothing left unsaid, undone, untried. I made you bold. I made you strong. And even now, I can rekindle what the years and fear have stolen. This chapter of your life doesn't have to be quiet. It doesn't have to be passive. It doesn't have to be the closing of a book. It can be the climax. The moment where you finally walk in the fullness of what I always planned for you, unafraid, unhindered, unleashed. Will you trust me again? Will you take the step you've been too afraid to take? Will you speak the truth you've held in for years? Will you forgive, release, move, begin, believe? Because I am ready to walk with you, not on the path of fear, but on the path of faith. And that path, my child, is where you were always meant to walk. My beloved child, I want you to listen closely now. You've walked through much of your life trying to keep others happy. You've smiled when you didn't feel like smiling. You've said yes when your spirit whispered no. You've stayed silent when you knew the truth should have been spoken. And you did all this, not because you didn't love me, but because you were trying to keep the peace, to be kind, to avoid conflict, to hold things together. But I need you to know something that will set you free if you'll let it sink deep into your soul. I never asked you to please them. I asked you to follow me. You've misunderstood love. You thought love meant approval. You thought kindness meant silence. You thought grace meant tolerating what grieved your spirit. But that's not the love I taught you. That's not the love I showed through my son. Love tells the truth. Love speaks when it's hard. Love obeys me even when the world calls you wrong. I watched you over the years, how you adjusted your convictions so people would feel more comfortable, how you buried your beliefs so they wouldn't think you were too much, how you held your tongue at family gatherings, in friendships, in churches even, because you didn't want to upset anyone. You called it humility. You called it wisdom. But much of it was fear in disguise. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being rejected. Fear of not being liked. But child, the path of righteousness is never determined by public opinion. The road of obedience is never paved with approval from man. I never told you to make everyone else feel good at the cost of ignoring my truth. I never asked you to shape yourself into whatever others wanted. I asked you to be conformed into my image, not theirs. Do you see how much of your life was guided by the desire to be accepted? It's not your fault entirely. This world trains you from early on to seek validation, to crave applause, to want a good reputation. But those things have a price. And too often the price is your own peace, your own purpose, your own connection with me. I gave you a voice, but how often have you silenced it just to keep the room calm? I gave you a heart that felt deeply, but how many times did you suppress it so others wouldn't be uncomfortable? I gave you truth, real truth, but how often did you trade it for harmony that didn't last? I never told you to hide who I made you to be. Let me say it plainly. I never called you to people-pleasing. I called you to obedience, and obedience won't always be popular. Sometimes it will cost you friendships. Sometimes it will cause tension in your family. Sometimes it will make people think you've lost your way when really you've just finally found mine. But obedience brings a peace that approval never could. It brings a satisfaction that applause can't offer. It brings a strength that being liked can never produce. I'm not saying your heart was wrong. I know you meant well. I know you didn't want to hurt anyone. I know you wanted to be a light. But a light that hides its brightness out of fear is no longer guiding anyone. A voice that speaks only what people want to hear is no longer declaring my truth. I made you for more than that. Do you remember the times you felt uncomfortable in your own skin? Like you were living someone else's life? That wasn't your imagination. That was your soul trying to remind you. You were made to follow me, not them. And yes, even now in this stage of life, the pressure is still there. You feel it in how you're supposed to act around your children, your peers, your community. You feel the tug to blend in, to not ruffle feathers, to keep quiet about what you believe because it's not your place anymore. But I say otherwise. If ever there was a time for your voice, your wisdom, your courage, it's now. You've lived long enough to know that trying to make everyone happy will only leave you exhausted. You've learned the hard way that even when you give people what they want, it doesn't guarantee love in return. You've seen that no matter how careful you are, someone will always find a reason to criticize. So now, child, stop running after their approval. Run after me. Stop wondering what they'll think. Ask what I think. Stop molding yourself to be accepted. Be transformed by my word, my spirit, and my presence. Let me be clear. I'm not asking you to be harsh. I'm not asking you to be unkind or rebellious. I'm asking you to be true, true to me, true to the calling I placed in you, true to the voice I gave you. Because when you walk in truth, in real love, in spirit-led obedience, some will walk away, yes, but others will find me through you. You don't need to be the one who pleases everyone. That role is exhausting, and it was never yours to begin with. Be the one who pleases me, and I promise, you'll find peace that no crowd, no compliment, no approval rating can touch. You have nothing left to prove. You have no reputation to protect. Your legacy doesn't come from how well you fit in. It comes from how well you followed me. So from this day forward, walk free, speak boldly, love deeply, but not blindly. Stop apologizing for who I made you to be. Let go of their opinions, and take hold of my truth, because you were not made to please them. You were made to glorify me. Listen to me now, my child, because I am about to silence every lie you've ever believed about yourself. You are not who the world said you are. You are not the sum of your failures. You are not your reputation, your regrets, your mistakes, or your missed opportunities. You are who I say you are. And what I say about you is final. For too long, you've carried false names, names I never gave you. Some were spoken over you by others. Some you gave yourself in moments of pain or shame. Unworthy, not enough, too late, forgotten, weak, irrelevant. But I never called you by those names. I never labeled you with defeat. I never defined you by your worst moments. I have always seen you through the lens of my love, my purpose, and my promise. You may feel worn out by the years, but I call you precious. You may feel like your usefulness has faded, but I call you chosen. You may have been overlooked by people, but I call you seen. You may have been silenced, but I call you my voice. You may feel like your best days are behind you, but I say your story is still unfolding and I am still writing it. You see wrinkles when you look in the mirror. I see wisdom. You see scars from a lifetime of trying and failing. I see the marks of a warrior who never gave up. You see gray hairs and slow steps. I see a seasoned vessel rich with testimony and power. I see a soul refined by fire, a heart softened by compassion, a life that has weathered storms and still looks to me. Do you know what it means to be mine? It means that my word over you has more authority than anything spoken by people. It means that your worth is rooted in something eternal, not something that shifts with time or opinion. It means that even when you feel unseen by the world, you are always under my gaze. And I don't look at you with disappointment. I look at you with delight. You may feel like your identity has been buried, under the years, under responsibilities, under expectations. But I'm digging it back up. Not a new identity, but the one I gave you, before the world ever had a chance to tell you otherwise. The one I formed before you were even born. You are mine. You are loved. You are enough, not because of what you've done, but because of who I am. Let me remind you of what I said about you. I said you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Not accidentally or carelessly. Wonderfully. I said I have plans to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future. That doesn't expire with age. I said you are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for my own possession. I said you are more than a conqueror, not just a survivor, but victorious through me. I said nothing can separate you from my love. Not your past, not your age, not your doubts. I said I have called you by name, and you are mine. These are not poetic words. These are declarations of truth. And I never speak empty promises. My word stands firm forever. It does not shift like shadows. It does not bend to culture. It is not based on feelings. It is not up for debate. What I say about you is truth. And the truth will set you free. So stop letting others define your value. Stop comparing your journey to someone else's. Stop wondering if you've done enough, been enough, lived enough. If you are still breathing, you are still called. If your heart still beats, I still have purpose in you. If you still have breath in your lungs, then your voice still carries the power of heaven. Let me speak directly to that place in you that still wonders, but God, what about all I've lost? I say to you, I restore, I redeem, I resurrect. What others called too broken, I call beloved. What others discarded, I use. What you thought was over, I'm just beginning. You may not have the strength you once had, but that has never stopped me from moving. In fact, my power is made perfect in weakness. Your strength was never the foundation. I am. You may feel small in the grand scheme of life, but I do my greatest work through the humble, the lowly, the ones who simply say yes to me, even when the world overlooks them. So say yes again. Say yes to believing what I say about you. Say yes to living these final years with boldness, with truth, with freedom. Say yes to dropping every false label, every old regret, every lie the enemy whispered into your ear late at night. You don't belong to your past. You belong to me. You are not forgotten. You are not used up. You are not too old. You are not beyond purpose. You are mine. You are loved. You are seen. You are chosen. You are still being used. You are who I say you are. Now walk in it. Live in it. Finish your days in that truth. Don't wait for another confirmation. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission. I already have. You have my word, and that is all you need.